The early pioneers did so much in laying the groundwork for what we have now in Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale Women's Club was founded in 1911, a few months before the city was actually incorporated.
The land was donated by Frank and Ivy Stranahan. Ivy Stranahan was involved in everything. Women's rights, the first chapter of the Audubon Society, the first chapter of the Red Cross, Indians' rights.
Our Seminoles would canoe up the New River and go to the Stranahan house, and they would trade for goods that they couldn't grow. Ivy Stranahan taught English, and she was an educator. She was a school teacher. She shared her knowledge with us to teach us how to get along in the non-Seminole world.
Originally, Fort Lauderdale Women's Club was a civic improvement association and took on many of the projects that today we would take for granted in an urban area. For example, establishing street lights, making sure the privies were emptied, and other very important causes. This clubhouse was actually the first library for this community.
The building's almost 100 years old. In 2011 it'll be 100 years with the club itself. And then the building was done in 1916, started and actually finished in 1917.
Ironically, it's become literally the center of not only Fort Lauderdale but Broward County, right here at Broward and Andrews Avenue. And so as the community has grown, the clubhouse is an enduring landmark of the growth of that community.
In these days, we reach out in whatever way that we can.
We contribute to ROC, that's cancer for the children.
Broward Outreach that helps to feed families.
The Wildlife Care Center, Children in Distress.
The Fort Lauderdale Women's Club is dedicated to serving the community through volunteer efforts. It's tried to carry on its legacy that started with the first library, the first firehouse, and it's brought that into the 21st century by giving scholarship to young women in high school.
The house was going to fall down around our ears if something wasn't done. The roof was leaking. It was starting to sink into the ground. It was just in great need of refurbishment, and in order to have this house remain a part of Fort Lauderdale, something had to be done.
Part of the operation of the Women's Club is they basically rent the building out for community functions, for private individuals to also rent it, and that money that they get, they basically use to pay the bills to keep the building up, as well as to take scholarship money, and it's allowing the community and everybody to enjoy the space. So it's pretty vital that we get it restored.
Particularly in South Florida, we have sort of a demolition and rebuild mentality, or have had for many decades. And it's refreshing to see a building that survives and reminds us of that past. It's very important in building community that people embrace their past. That's what makes them different from any other town, any other part of the world, their history and heritage.
And the passion that Ivy and her women when they first started the club, what they did, what they saw, they looked around and saw the needs. And it was because they had some place to be that this all happened. They walked these floors, these same floors, these Florida pine floors, and they're here. Just as the building was in disrepair, so our club, just like people, like families, we had our ups and downs over the year, but we are back, and so is the building, and it is here to stay.